All right. What is going on, everybody? Today we have Legends Find a Way podcast episode 7 with Todd and Laura Lyons representing Love and Honey's Fried Chicken in Philly. We out here. Let's go. What's going on over there in Philly? How are you doing today?
Hi.
Great.
We are great.
Repping the Phillies hardcore over there. No idea when that's all going to be going down, but we're still out here.
Yeah, it is. It is very weird to not have any sports or anything going on, but it'll come back.
Right. And I know for you two, I mean, obviously you're in the food service industry, and we were literally just talking about how it's been like completely impacted, maybe more than anything else is obviously the in-person stuff. So from your perspective, like what are you seeing on the ground level, on the street level? And then we'll dive into some of how it came to be with Love and Honeys.
It's really devastating. The industry, there are a lot of places that won't recover from this. And we're very, very lucky. We're a small restaurant right now. We're about 900 square feet. We were very lucky to be doing, most of our business was pickup, delivery, or takeout anyway. We only have very limited seats for eating in. So we were kind of, very well positioned to change on a dime. We have a small window on the side of the restaurant. We popped the screen out and we made it into a pickup window. And we haven't seen any dip whatsoever in sales. But we're just very, very lucky. I know you're not supposed to say that you're lucky, but we feel lucky that we started out small, that we have the type of restaurant that we do in this time, because honestly, a lot of places our size closed for 2 weeks and then they had to reopen. So now they're doing the same thing. I think that if we had to be closed for, longer than 2 weeks, it would have been detrimental. It would have been really, really difficult. There would have had, a lot of loans. And we would have been climbing out of that for years. So we're just very happy, and that our staff, everybody's been healthy. And hopefully, that this will turn a corner soon and things will start going back to normal. But it's really devastating to the industry as a whole.
Yeah. And I think that you said something really interesting. You said that, there's an element of luck. I know you both personally and know what your company represents. So I can tell you that there is some luck, but there's also some really high quality that's keeping everything going no matter what. And I want to dive into some of that. So for you two, we have like the bookshelf on one side. We got the kitchen setup on the other side. So what's going on? How did you two come together? I know you both have your own individual stories, but talk to us about how you came together and then thus Love and Honeys came to be. What's that look like? Because you both obviously have a cooking, or I'm sorry, I'm blanking out on the word. Culinary background. Yeah.
We do. We're both trained chefs at the Culinary Institute of America. I'm a wee bit older than Todd. So I actually graduated from that school in 1995. And then I went back to work there.
I was 2.
What's that?
I was 2.
Oh God.
Let's go.
It was grand.
So, and it was, it was a magical time. The school itself is just one of the most magical, incredible places on earth. And then I went back to work there in 2006. And the following year, I met this guy who was a student at the time. And people automatically think that I was an instructor. They want there to be like a good scandal. I was not instructor. I was not an instructor by any means. And, but we met, and, we're kind of one of those couples where, we really had an instant attraction. We had instant chemistry, and from the minute we were dating, we've kind of been together, inseparable ever since. And then a few years later, we moved back to, we're both coincidentally from this area. So we moved back to Philadelphia together, and then we got married in 2011. But I will say that, we've always known that there was something more in our relationship, that there was going to be something beyond just the marriage, that there was a partnership there. And in 2014, I got laid off from a different job that I really, really loved. And I was 40. And we just said, listen, if we don't do this now, we're never going to do it. And that was when we started, working really hard to get the restaurant off the ground. We didn't know what the restaurant would be. Todd was and still is a far, far, far better chef than I ever was. My career really changed over the years into more business building and culinary marketing. And we were making fried chicken for friends and family all the time. And I really found a love of baking. So it was really our friends that said, this is the restaurant. Like, this is what it should be. And we hadn't really thought about it. And once someone said that to us, that was it. We were off and running. The name part came a little bit later because we were going to name the restaurant True Love Fried Chicken. Our LLC is True Love Goods. Oh. And there's a restaurant out in Seattle that had already trademarked the words True Love for a barbecue sauce. So we couldn't get the name in the culinary space. And we were devastated, and we had a very good lawyer say, like, get over it. You're going to spend a lot of money.
Right.
The only two people who even know about this are the two of you. No one else is disappointed. And in a weekend, we had a chalkboard, and we threw like 30, 40 words up on the chalkboard that represented the food, the recipes, that represented us. And it was one of those moments with love and honey. And that was it.
It's funny, there's like a lot of similarities now, as Laura was describing that with like the coronavirus and like your question about the restaurant, because when that news sort of comes down, you can either like just be mad about it or go into like solution mode. And like, we were like devastated for like a minute. Then we're like, no, we got to figure this out. We got to get like right back to it. And, we came up with the name, same thing. It's like, we got to lock our door. We can't have, we became instantly solution focused, and we figured out the window. We figured out the delivery. We figured out like how it was going to run, like within a few hours, basically.
Yeah.
I like to think of myself as a MacGyver. Okay. And I have always said that it's one of the best skills that you can have, especially in business. Because if you don't know how to change on a dime or figure out a situation, you're screwed in this business. Things literally happen minute to minute. Yeah. And you have got to be on your toes, and you have to be solution focused. I think that's a great way to put it. And so in the beginning of building Love and Honey, that happened many times. We had to change the name. We had to, finding different spaces and which space was going to work, and scaling recipes. Some recipes you might make for, 4 people, it doesn't work to, change it for a recipe of 100 or what have you. And so we've always said that, we work really, really hard, Graham, as you know. But we have always felt that there's a little bit of luck. There's a little bit of something special involved that has sort of guided us. And, maybe that's, we do use visualization a lot. We read The Secret.
Yeah.
And I think I think there are a lot of things you can take from that kind of philosophy, where you put positive energy out and you 100%. Really focus on, what you want, and then you manifest it.
Yeah, that's quantum physics, right? Thoughts plus feelings equal reality. And there's so much to unpack there. So we're going to go back just a little bit, because before we get there, because it's important to note for everyone listening, and everyone that has had Love and Honeys, had the pleasure of tasting Love and Honeys, knows the quality is like the best. I've had fried chicken out here, and it was the first time I missed home since I got here. I was like, wow, this isn't going to do it. Like, this isn't going to work. And it was ridiculously overpriced, which is a conversation I'll have another time with you guys. But As far as each of your actual careers in culinary, what was it that drew you to cooking? I'm super curious. What was it?
I think for me, like, kind of like looking back in my life as a kid, like I come from like a huge family. Like I got 31st cousins. Um, and so there was a lot of parties, graduations, like birthdays, the whole thing. And like one of the focus parts of the party was the food. Like it was something that like I realized like very early on, and like the best parties always ended up in the kitchen, like
Yeah.
later on. And as I got older, like I understood like the power of food and like what it can do, and uh, as a vehicle to like bring people together. So I think
Yeah.
looking back, that was sort of like my first like memories of food, is that like family aspect of it.
Right.
For me, it was a little bit different. Never, it wasn't something that I had to learn or be exposed to. If you talk to my mom, she'll tell you I had an interest in food from before I could even talk or walk. I don't know. It was just something that was always in me, that my interest in food was always there. What was interesting is, though, in the, 80s and then early 90s, if you loved food, that meant that you were supposed to become a chef. So you went to culinary school. And I loved culinary school. I hated being a chef. And when I graduated and then started like really grinding in kitchens and catering companies and my like early jobs, it was really a struggle because I was confused. I thought that I was supposed to go to culinary school. I thought that I was supposed to become a chef and this is what I wanted. And now, of course, there are a million careers in food and hospitality where you never have to cook anything. And so I was really able to sort of navigate my career over the years to stay in food. I love food. Todd will tell you I love nothing more than exploring a new grocery
Oh
store.
yeah.
It's one of my favorite things to do. But I don't love to cook. I love to eat. I love to talk about food. I love to learn about food. I love any kind of food travel show, documentary, you name it. And as a young chef, that was really confusing.
Yeah.
So I feel, again, very lucky that I was able to sort of navigate my career, stay in this business, but be out of the kitchen. I think it also has really helped us with the, building this restaurant, because we're not stepping on each other's toes.
Right.
But what's nice for me is, when we're understaffed, and that happens all the time, I'm a great prep cook. I'm a great sous chef. And Todd can say, hey, you got to peel and cut potatoes. I can peel and cut potatoes and cook potatoes and dice carrots and do all that stuff all day long. I don't mind being very task oriented.
Right.
But I think that for me in my career, it's understanding the business and having that education is great, and I lean on it all the time. But I have no longer have a desire to cook at all.
Interesting.
I do love to bake, and that came much later in life, because most cooks don't love to bake because we have no patience, and I really have no patience.
Interesting.
But I have learned to appreciate baking and sort of the science of it all.
Yeah, well, I think everyone that has been to Love and Honey has appreciated the baking that goes down there, along with the fried chicken, which I think is what makes the restaurant so unique, is that anything you order is delicious. Even if you don't like something before you go in there, but you walk out thinking, wow, that was the best of that thing that I've ever had.
I mean, Todd can speak to that more, but, we often say that, the quality is the most important thing. And I just saw an interview recently with Gordon Ramsay, and someone asked him, like, so what makes a burger $25? And he explained, well, first of all, it's, we're grinding our meat in-house. It's different blends. It's high quality. The bun is high quality. The cheese, it's being prepared by actual chefs who know what they're doing. That's what makes it expensive. And I think the same is true for us, where it's just because you're a trained chef doesn't mean you go into fine dining. There is an elevation, especially with comfort food. We're able to take this comfort food and elevate it because of our skills, because of the quality of product that we're getting in. Todd can talk more to that, but honestly, that's the most important thing about Love and Honey.
Yeah, it's really for me, and Love and Honey is sort of reflective of my personal values as like a chef. And like the biggest words that come to mind is integrity. Like me personally, I think we both operate with a lot of integrity. So why would I put like the cheapest chicken I can get out there? I don't want to use cheap ingredients. I don't want to, I want to. My philosophy is like, even at home, it's like, get the best ingredients you can with the money you can, and then you have, and then to sort of like bridge that with the business sense, like we could get chicken from like this one farm that's whatever, but then we got to charge twice as much. So there's a balance there.
Right.
But it's all about integrity, and I want to put the best stuff I can with the right price that we can sell it, and make as much of it by hand as we can. Like that's going to be reflective in quality. So again, that's an integrity thing. So yeah, those are extremely important to us, and it comes out at the end, just like you said.
And our customers, our real customers, they understand that. They know what they're paying for. And whenever we get a comment, whether it's in person or on Yelp or wherever, so overpriced.
What?
It used to bother us, but the truth is that in the long run, that isn't your customer. That person doesn't understand the type of chicken that
they think all chicken's the same. Why,
Right. They don't see the value.
Right. And so, they don't understand, and that's fine, right? That is absolutely fine. But I don't take those types of comments, they don't keep me up at night anymore, because in the long run, that's not truly who your customer is. We've taken something and we've elevated it. And when we first opened Love and Honey, we went to the chicken farms of where our chicken comes from. We saw how our chickens are raised. You can actually, on our website, you can see the video of us standing in the chicken house. And we were in there for a good hour or so with the farmers, learning about how the chickens are raised. And then from there, we went to the processing plant. And as unpleasant, as that is, it's extremely humane. It's done in the most humane way. And we just thought it was really important, so that when customers ask us, that we can speak to that and say, no, we've been to where the chickens live, where they're raised, where they're harvested. We've gone to the processing plant. We've seen how quickly they go from, literally being butchered to being in the package, and the sterile environment that happens in. And we're really proud to have gone that and say, like, yeah, we've seen it all. We've seen it from, the entire lifespan. And that was really important to us too, so that we can tell our customers, no, we know how they're raised. We know how they're processed. We know how they get here.
Right. And I think that transparency completely speaks to integrity on both your parts. So I actually didn't know that you had the video on the website and you've done all that stuff. That's super cool. I know that for someone like me and for my little millennial crew, like, we're all about the transparency. We want to see behind the scenes. We want to make sure it's really as legit as you two are in person, which I already know behind the scenes, you are the same people and you're amazing. Right. But I think that, to your point, it's really amazing that you were able to start seeing those negative reviews as what they really were, and not taking them to heart, because it's not a reflection of you or your brand.
Yeah. And trust me, Yelp is tough. Reviews are tough. We're very lucky to have good reviews for the most part. But what we've learned as far as the reviews go is you look for trends. Trolls are trolls. And, there's not much you can take from a troll. If you want to hate on us, just to hate on us, that doesn't keep me up at night anymore. Some people are just so mean. And if you have the time, you can look back at some of our responses. Most of our responses are pretty diplomatic. Some of them are not. Some of them are, pretty good clapbacks, as the kids told me. That's what it's called. But and then some of them that we just ignore. But the truth is, we do take all the reviews seriously, and we look for trends. If you had 15 nicely written, constructive reviews that all said, the chicken is not well seasoned, we would look at that, right? You have to be able to take a look at things. But when people are just being trolls, then you just have to let that go.
Yeah.
But, you did say something interesting about being a millennial, and I did want to touch on this because it is something that's really fascinated me over probably the last 10 years or so. Is, I grew up in the late 70s, early 80s, when any marketing that you put on a box, you believed. So I grew up in the low fat era. I grew up on margarine. I probably have quite a bit of trans fat, swimming through my veins. But, my parents were like, oh, the box says it's low fat, so it must be good for you. And one of the things that is really cool to me is that your generation, it's not about calories, fat content. It's really more about eating clean and where does my food come from. And I think that is such a great shift. And you do see a lot more businesses like ours, the size of our business, especially in Philadelphia, who focus on one thing really well. And it's about the quality of product and not necessarily like, nobody's coming to Love and Honey for a diet meal, right? Like nobody's coming to our restaurant
post-workout.
Helpful.
We out here.
But people who are very wellness focused do eat at our restaurant, because it might still be a little bit of a treat, but they know where it's coming from. They're not going to, one of our, let's say, fast food competitors for that treat meal.
Right. And I think this is a really interesting question I want to ask you, because I know there are going to be people that listen to this that may be in your position at some point when you first started at some point here in their own lives. But touching on everything you just said, what was that conversation like for the two of you when you first started about, hey, like as far as the ingredients, where we're going to get this stuff, was there even ever a question of if it's going to be the highest quality, right? Or was it like, oh, we could like skate, because people will want to skate by and whatnot.
Yeah, no, I mean, I always say like at the end of the day, like we're chefs.
Yeah.
We're not, this isn't like a hobby. This isn't anything like that. Like immediately I was like, let's start asking questions. Where can we get this stuff? Where, what's out there? Because we know not all ingredients are created equal. So that was right from the beginning. We knew exactly what we wanted.
Yeah. And I mean, truthfully, from a business and marketing perspective, you do want to have a good story. There's no story if you're just using, frozen.
Yeah, 100%.
Comes from chicken.
100%.
We get that, we're part of the story, but yeah, I think that that's really important. Plus, where we sit, there isn't a lot of, it's called being like a step up brand where, we're not fast food, but we're not a full service restaurant. And so if you compare us to a brand like Shake Shack, we hope, someday we get to that level. But they're an elevated fast casual, right? They're not fast food, they're elevated. And so there really is no one doing fried chicken at that kind of middle level between fast food and a full service restaurant. So that's where we want to be. And in order to be there, you have to have the highest quality and you need to be able to put that out there.
And at the end of the day, things with quality, whether it's a car, they're better.
Yeah.
So food is going to taste better when the raw ingredients are quality. Like that's going to come through in the end product.
And you feel better because our chickens they're not pumped full of anything. There's no hormones. There's no growth hormones. There's no antibiotics. There's none of those things. And so people have said like, wow, I can eat quite a few pieces. I'm full, but I feel okay. You don't have that like, ugh,
Yeah, definitely.
feeling that a lot of that stuff ultimately you're putting in your body.
Yeah, and not to mention the secret ingredient, right, is that integrity. It's that love that you put in. This is your profession. This is what you've cultivated yourself to do. And you said it, Todd, at the beginning that you learn at the parties, and you're bringing the party to everyone's stomach, more or less, right? And I think that's a testament to the type of customers that continually come back. But I want to shift just a hair because I think that there's some really, really cool things to touch on, because you kind of just talked about your brand as it's a step up brand. That's what it's known as, right? So for there are definitely entrepreneurs that are going to be listening to this, and people in general who are curious about, what is it like to be on the ground floor of a business like this? How does this all work? And it started with the whiteboard and you figuring out what the name is going to be. And it also sounds like naturally the two of you each kind of moved into your role within the organization, right? So can you explain a little bit of how you found that natural role, and then what some of the beginning steps of building this looked like? Or I should say this, what were some of the main things that were on the forefront of your mind, Laura? And like, how are we going to put this out there? What is the brand going to look like from a branding perspective? Because I think branding is one of the most unique and interesting skills that most people are not aware of, and it reflects the business 100%.
Yeah. Well, so the first two things that I would say to any budding entrepreneur is, one, cannot be afraid to be poor for a little while. If you are tied to a paycheck, if you are coming from a really nice corporate gig and you want to branch out on your own, like we both had very nice corporate jobs and very nice corporate salaries. If you're afraid to lose that for a while, it won't work, because you have to be 100% in. And so you have to have a nice little cushion to live off of for a while, because it's going to be tough. And any business that you build, it's going to cost twice what you thought. There's going to be a lot of bumps in the road, a lot of challenges to overcome. But for us, the progression, I will say this as well, we don't have children, and I think that we don't take for granted that there are a lot of families out there. There are a lot of people who may have wanted to always start their own business, and they have kids they have to provide for. And that can make it really difficult. It can be really tough to try to support a family and start a business when you don't know if there's going to be any money coming in for a while. And so obviously that, people have to be careful with that. So it was a little easier for us because we knew that, well, if we're eating $1 ramen for a year, we'll be fine.
We're doing it, right?
Yeah, we'll be fine.
Because it's our thing.
Right. It's our thing.
They're going the distance.
So, the progression of, I think, again, it just, everything sort of fell into place. The menu was the easiest thing we did in the beginning,
really?
Because we've been talking about food since day one. So, we wrote the menu in 20 minutes, like the original Love and Honey menu, which has changed quite a bit, but that part was easy. Testing the recipes over the course of a year was great, and it was certainly
every recipe was like a home, with a regular bowl of veg. Now we have to do like 50 pounds of making sure that the recipe translates, 100% perfect to the scaled up version.
Right.
That's work.
And it was definitely a fun time for our friends and family because, everybody was getting whole pies because we were testing pie recipes and cornbread and chicken. So there were a lot of dinner parties early on. I think that part of it is probably what makes us great business partners as well, is because we really have never stepped on each other's toes. We're also not afraid to be brutally honest with each other. So, you talk about building a brand. I've had a lot of years of experience in either building a brand or protecting an existing brand for different corporations. And I don't know, I think that it's just something that I've been good at, and understanding that, why people make certain food purchasing decisions, what drives those decisions. And, Todd will throw out an idea of something to put on the menu. And sometimes I'm like, no, that's crazy. It makes no sense to our brand. I love the idea for something else, but that doesn't go, that the Love and Honey brand, that won't work. And then I've certainly thrown out plenty of things to him, or have been on the line and have been kicked off the line. So yeah, I mean, we don't really step on each other's toes. And, people will think that we're making it up. I mean, Graham, you've seen us together. We're pretty gross. We get along really, really well. And this whole thing started because we wanted to spend all our time together. Now we're really spending all our time together with
Literally.
with the pandemic. It used to be like 90%. Now it's like 99%. So that's a lot. But yeah, we get along great. And, when we're at the restaurant, we're in work mode. When we're home, we're in husband and wife mode. Yeah. And it's just worked really, really well. I mean, we've certainly had our arguments. We've certainly had our challenges, but
great teams have, every player plays a different role and they know what their role is. And
yeah.
You don't try to do something, that's out of your role. So when you understand that and believe in that, I mean, it just makes everything easier. And yeah, it's easier for everybody can't be good at every single thing. I don't have the same passion for the branding, for example, as Laura does, but that's perfect because she brings that to the table. I have more of the passion for the, getting the recipes and food ideas. So all that really comes together.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, our experience, our past experience sort of speaks for itself. We've both worked for really prestigious companies and we've done really well at those companies. And, we're so thrilled that we have, everybody we've ever worked with and for has been in the restaurant almost. And that's a really, really nice feeling. But yeah, I mean, we just do work well together because we have very different skill sets.
Right. And what was that, Todd?
Know your role.
Right. Yeah, no. And it seems like you two came together so perfectly, just like a nice little puzzle. And that's something that, you said something really interesting. You said, if you're not willing as an entrepreneur when you start to live poor for a while, don't even think about it. So here's my question.
Everything that you do, the first 2 years, and I'm talking about the year prior. So we spent about a year building the restaurant. And then the first year after opening, it was interesting. My sister had a baby right around the same time that we opened the restaurant. And the two of us would be bawling on the phone. She was a new mom and was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I was a new business owner and we would cry and I'd be like, oh my God, what did I do? Why did we do this? This was a mistake. Oh my God. It is incredibly overwhelming. I once heard Thomas Keller say that if he really knew what it would take to open the French Laundry, which has become, one of the best restaurants in the world, he probably wouldn't have done it. And when we were first opening, everybody has advice, right? Just like with a new mom, like with new parents, everybody has advice. And I started making it a joke because every day you would hear someone go, you know what you should do? So I started hashtag you should. What should we do? What should we do, person that's never worked a day in this industry, has never worked in a restaurant? Go ahead and tell us, what should we do? It is exhausting, doesn't even begin to cover it. Right. You're working 24 hours a day. You don't eat. I mean, we didn't eat for the first 3 months. We said Kind Bar should have given us they should have sponsored us because we had a Kind Bar a day. We both lost a lot of weight in the very beginning, but it is exhausting and stressful on another level, but it should not deter you. was going to say, like, people would send us podcasts and articles and read this. Bobby Flay said that, all of these were the failures, and you have to learn from these failures. And honestly, I was like, I don't want to know right now, because then it might put us off and we might not do it. Right. So I'd rather us sort of learn the hard way. Right. And I'm glad that we did, for the most part, because
it's still great to go home and go, oh, I'm the boss. I don't report to anybody. I do what I want. Like, those entrepreneurial things is really what keeps you going. It's like,
and there's such emotion behind it when it's yours. I can't tell you how many times. I'm a very emotional person. I cry at everything. And I can't tell you, like, the first time we sold out, I cried. The first time we hit a certain sales number, I cried. And then I remember not too long ago, it was probably less than a year ago, we had our first sort of line out the door. And I just remember, like, just looking over at Todd and like, oh my God, like, we did this. We did this, and we're building this, and people like it, and they are coming, 3 times a week, and
driving far distances.
You see people take a picture with your sign. That is not lost on us. Yeah. When we see people take a picture with our sign, every time I see it, I'm like, oh my God. So it's deeply emotional when it's yours and it takes off, but that, people will say, oh, what are you going to do? So we have our 3-year anniversary coming up next month. And we're like, oh, what are you going to do? And I was, nothing. This business is too fickle.
Right.
When we are 5 years old, I'll get some balloons. Other than that, keep your head down and you keep grinding.
Stay in your lane.
Because it can go away in an instant. And, I just, maybe you call me superstitious, but I think it's still too early to have those type of celebrations. I'll put it on social media, but no. Just head down.
And when you said that, I really felt it. I could feel like you don't take any of that for granted, and you bring this, you become, it's interesting. You're so mindful, both of you, of how far you've come in each step in the journey. And I think you said something really powerful. You said at the beginning, people were trying to tell you all these things from the greats that have done it before you. And I think as in the beginning, like you said, the best thing you can do is just keep your head down and stay in your lane. Like, you don't need any outside noise. The obstacles and challenges in front of you are for you to overcome so you can learn, regardless of having someone else's input, because like you said, then that can deter you. So here's my question. It sounds like when you first started, you only ever saw it being this one thing. Tell me about that, because I think that's totally lost right now. People don't know what that is, the big vision of what it is, and the unwavering faith that no matter what happens, this is the direction we're going.
We never doubted for a second that this would be anything but hugely successful. We did not build Love and Honey to be one spot. We're building a brand that will, if not become a global brand, it will be a national brand for sure. And we have worked really hard to make sure that we live that vision every day. But even before we opened, we just knew, like I said, we just always knew that this was meant for something else, something bigger. And now that we know what that is, we have never wavered. We know with 100% certainty that this is a brand that will now, and I say that, and it's funny, like, there are people in Center City, because we're in Northern Liberties, for people who don't live in Philadelphia, we're in one, little sort of northern section of the city. But there's people on the other side of the city that they don't know who we are. They've never even heard of us.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So little by little by little by little, you grow, and thank God for social media.
Right.
But
we're not afraid to dream big. I think a lot of people get, because when you dream big and things like, there's a lot of in your brain, oh, that's going to be a lot of work, and that can deter people. I'm not afraid to dream big. I'm not afraid to say no, I want 1,000 of these. I want them all over the world. To me, that's achievable.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing too big in my brain, you know, like, so we go for it and we dream big.
Yeah. But then we work hard to back it up. You can't just have a big dream and then wait for it to, you know. So, you know, yeah, we're putting in the work, and people will say, oh, what do you do on your day off? We're like, well, we might not be at the restaurant, but when you're a business owner, you're never really off. You're always, you know, thinking or doing something or paying bills or paying people, or it never actually ends.
Randomly waking up at 3 a.m. with genius ideas.
Yeah, for sure.
All of it, right?
But yeah, you know, but we love it too. I mean, we wouldn't trade it. I mean, even the hardest days, you know, even the days when, like, you know, and let me tell you, they happen, and it's so true. Murphy's Law.
Please tell us one of these days. I gotta hear one. Give us a day.
3 people call out. I mean, so if you're going, you got to go before, you know, coronavirus. 3 people call out, and then the refrigerator, the reach in that, you know, we dredge all the chicken. Okay, that goes down.
We had one week where something broke every day for 5 days in a row, and not small things, refrigerators, ice machine, like.
And then right in the middle of it, just for fun, the health inspector will show up. You know, so it's just, you know, and then you have to go, okay, just breathe. And a lot of times you go, okay, it's gonna be one of those days. We're gonna have to throw some money at these problems today. And oh, guess what? I'm gonna be on dish. That's the other thing too. You can't ever be too proud or think that you're better than. I have done the dishes many a night, you know, and you have to be, you literally, in a day, you go from, you know, maybe sitting at a desk and being a little bit more CEO, and then at 7 o'clock, you're doing dishes.
I love that.
And for me, at least, I go, oh, this is actually quite therapeutic.
Yeah.
Do the dishes.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But yeah,
so
you have to sort of be ready for anything. And sadly, you do have those days too where everything goes a little too well, and then you wait for something to happen.
Oh no.
And people go,
it's like if a week goes by and there was like no major incidents, you're like, what?
Like something's
coming.
Something's coming. People go, you can't think that way. You go, yeah. All right.
And then boof, here comes Corona and just shuts down everything. Right. So with all that said, how did that affect it first? Did you have to actually shut the restaurant down for a period of time, or were you able just to move right through it?
We moved right through it.
Okay.
We locked the door. We were actually a week ahead of when, I guess it's about 3 weeks now, when the governor, mayor, whatever, said, you know, restaurants can only do takeout and you can only make the transactions online. There's no cash handling or anything like that. So we actually started that a week before, you know, the mandate came in, and we were just like, all right, well, we'll just lock the door. We already have caviar. We already, you know, we're very familiar with it. We know how to manage it really well.
Caviar is our delivery platform.
Right.
The people who don't know, they're like, they have caviar? No.
Yeah, a lot of chefs are like, you know, now they're going to where they might not do any delivery. They're going to these, now, you know, the Caviars and Grubhubs of the world, and they got to adjust everything because they've never like handled that. So like there's a learning curve that a lot of restaurants are going through. And it was, I mean, there was no learning curve for us. We were
already doing it.
So here's my question, because it's interesting. It sort of played out perfectly for you because you were already doing it. What was the decision to get a smaller place and do a smaller indoor seating? And then that was what it was. Yeah.
We
it's like all the money we had. So we're like, this is what we can afford.
Wow.
So let's go with it.
There was also, we had the opportunity to have a larger space. And there were 2 restaurants in our neighborhood at the time that were similar to our model where they did one thing really well. And there was a Thai restaurant, a Vietnamese restaurant that we really liked, Vietnamese street food. And they had a 50-seat restaurant, and like the highest priced item on the menu was maybe like $9.95. And I was like, that's not gonna last. That's not gonna work. And they went out of business. And I just said, small space, outgrow it, sell out, have lines, build your reputation, then you open the larger space.
Boom.
So, again, that universe sort of guiding us in the right direction to make the right decisions yeah. And even since people have said, oh, let's knock the wall down, let's make it a bigger space. No, it doesn't make sense for us right now. It makes more sense to open the next spot when this pandemic is over. But the OG Love and Honey will remain untouched.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's first of all, it's just I think that what I'm hearing all of this now is really speaks to the ridiculous amount of experience each of you already had before you started this endeavor that made it a lot more visual for you to know, no, we can do this. Like with my experience here and with your ability to do this, we can do this if we just stay consistent and do the work. And by the way,
I would consider ourselves professionals.
yes, and keep the integrity, right? But most importantly, you do the work. I've seen you do the work, and you're not afraid to do the damn dishes, right? My generation, the amount of complaining, whining, and quitting I see over just one or two things going wrong, I'm like, you need to go work at Love and Honey's, all right? Just one day of just doing any job there, and you'll gain a new appreciation for what it takes. And here's the thing, like I had a landscaping business at one point, and it was brick and mortar, obviously. And that's why I decided to move everything to a place where I didn't have to do all that stuff, because it's just another ball game. You have a million other factors at play. And, for you to be able to adjust and navigate that field, and then with a pandemic like Corona, which shuts down everything, for you to, like you said, not even have a dip, just speaks to, number one, the integrity that you've brought to the table with your quality of food, that it's so good that even during this uncertain time, people are like, I'd rather not go out to the grocery store. I'm just going to order out. This is my question. Do you have anyone that orders it every day?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, we people are definitely emotionally eating right now. And we have a lot of regulars that order, definitely a few days a week. But we have seen, we sell comfort food, and everybody needs comfort right now. And so we are selling a lot of desserts. So our baker, Caitlin, who you know well, is is like just
Can't keep up.
just on that hamster wheel, like what? So yeah, a lot of desserts, and people are definitely eating their feelings right now. So we appreciate that. It's funny too. We've had a lot of people come to the window and try to hand us cash. And I keep saying, like, sorry, we can't accept the cash from you, whether, we donate all of our cash tips to charity anyway, but I keep saying, like, I'm really sorry, like, we can't take the cash right now, because of the coronavirus. I said, but listen, just keep ordering. Like the fact that we are open, the fact that we are busy, that's all we need right now. Just keep ordering, keep your cash. We really, really appreciate the fact that, that people keep coming back and they're ordering, and that we're busy.
Yeah.
And that everybody, knock on wood, is healthy on our staff right now.
So it sounds like, obviously so many lessons learned. What have been some of the biggest lessons you've learned during this pandemic about your business, where you're headed, and the two of you managing this uncertainty or crisis scenario?
I think for me, like the most important thing is adaptability. Like I think we were talking about before, we were already good at it, but something like this just like really magnifies, in my opinion, like you have to be adaptable to survive, and whether things are completely normal or something like this is going on, like adaptability is crucial to the success of a business.
I think for me, what I've learned over the last 3 years, and it has nothing to do with the current situation, is it's sort of like what you said about people who don't have the same work ethic, or people we've had to fire or let go. In the beginning, it's terrible to have to fire somebody, and it's gut-wrenching. And what I've learned is that most times people get themselves fired. They know what's coming.
100%.
And my tolerance for that has just gone so far down in my ability to protect the business. We love, everybody who works for us, especially right now is really great. And we've had a lot of really, really nice people over the past 3 years. But sometimes people let you down and those people have to go, and we make the rules. And if you don't like it, then you should go work somewhere else. And I think that I especially have just gotten a lot stronger at recognizing those things, not keeping people in positions that they're not going to succeed at. We do a lot to take care of our team. And in return, you expect that people will work really hard for the brand, to build a brand. And we really are lucky right now. We have such a great little family of people, and who everybody really genuinely likes each other. But then every once in a while, people kind of fall off, or their priorities change, or we've just gotten a lot stronger at recognizing that, and you hire somebody new, pretty quickly if they're going to work or not. And so, yeah, I would say that's something I've gotten a lot stronger at. I have always hated the expression, it's not personal, it's business. I can't imagine anything being more personal than this business for us. And when people, I think about Caitlin, our baker, who also went to the Culinary Institute of America, where we went. You spend your whole life and all the money you have investing in a career. Like, what's more personal than that? And so, really learning how to build on talent, and take care of people, but ultimately recognizing for the brand who's going to work and who's not. And so I do have a little bit of a better understanding of, sometimes there are really tough business decisions that have to be made. You can't just keep people on because you like them, or whatever it is. So yeah, I would say that's been the biggest thing for me, to get better at.
Adaptability and learn how to know who to hire and who to fire. Sounds like to keep the integrity of your business in check so that the customer continues to come back and have the best possible experience. Yeah. The vision you have of Love and Honeys can come to fruition. Exactly. Sounds in alignment. So I love it. Right. Well, listen, I know that two of you got to run here in a minute, and I definitely want to get you back on here at some point, because there's just so much more to the story, and you have so much insight.
We could just talk all day.
Right. So I guess
we didn't even talk about how we met you, Graham.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into it. I decided
what you've meant in our lives, not just what we and our chicken have meant to you, what you have
and cookies
brought to our lives. So much. And I do want to take a second and say that, the two of us were pretty grossly unhealthy when we met you. And we know for sure, you talk about the universe and things, people coming into your life for certain reasons. But, you came into our restaurant like the light that you are. We always
I was hungry.
We both say that this guy carries the light, and really kind of, I came to you first and said, I need help. How do I manage this business, which was like 150% of my time? How do I get healthy? Because, as I said to you, I would always say, and I've been saying this for a long time, like, I feel like I could build a multi-million-dollar business before I could lose 20 pounds. And then I was like, I gotta stop saying that, because that's where we're headed.
Yeah.
And, working with you for those months has, it changed everything about making time for my own wellness. And then Todd really saw how it affected me and how I made the time, and get up earlier and go to the gym and take time to prepare meals, even if it's late, because it's your health and you won't have a business to run So, I'm like 30 pounds down, my friend,
Yeah,
in a year.
let's
A
go.
little more to go, but something changed up here. And that was what really have meant the world in my life, to really help me, focus on my wellness. And then this guy made a whole change. We'll have to talk about another time.
Yeah,
But
yeah. We're good. First of all, thank you so much for the words. We're doing a virtual hug right now. It's going to be probably. It's seriously just the most amazing. And that, that day that I got to go into your restaurant for the first time, I knew instantly like you had something really special going there. Like not only was the food outrageously good, and I'll never forget the day because my friend was trying to convince me. He's like, I was not eating unhealthy that day. Not that your food is unhealthy, but my thoughts of it were like, I don't want a KFC, etc. And he's like, no, dude, you got to come here. It's like different. It's really good. I'm like, all right, whatever. He drags me in there. And before I know, I'm like, wow, they don't even have like French fries. Like this place seriously is on a different level. They're doing things differently. And as soon as I had the Nashville hot, which is what Todd's like, yeah, you got to get the Nashville if you like a little spicy. I was like, all right. Sat down and I was like, okay, this is amazing. Came back with James the next week, came back with another friend the next week. So, you know what I mean? And now I have friends that are, come in every day. So, it's a testament to the hard work and the amazing integrity that both of you carry with you and with your company. And for me, it was an absolute pleasure to be a part of your own journey in that way.
But we knew right away there was instant chemistry.
Yeah.
Because when you left, we were like, who was that guy? We need to know that guy.
Right.
And then our Instagram blew up, and I was like, who is this guy really? We just got a lot of followers.
Yeah, no, like you said, sometimes things are just aligned in that way, and this has been one of them. And for me to know you at the beginning and see where you're going, because I see where you two want to go, and I know you can do it, and I'm watching it happen from a distance. It's just like, it's so cool. I had a vision even when you were talking of like years down the road and like a different conversation, but like thinking back, and I know that's why you do it, is to have that, always be able to look back and see what you accomplished, that you put your mind on something special, and that every customer that comes through the door gets a really unique and nostalgic experience. It's very much that picnic, that party when you were younger with all your cousins and family, and it's just a special moment and a special experience. So for everyone listening, if you're in the Philadelphia area, the tri-state area for that matter, make the drive and have the experience. It's the best fried chicken I've ever had, the most creative cookies and pies I've ever had that are also nostalgic in a way where you don't get them anywhere else. And the vibe even of a place that has, how many seats do you have?
12.
12 seats. It's unique. You don't get that feel anymore of places you go into. And when you're greeted with smiles like both of yours and your staff, it's hard not to have a great experience. So with that said, I know you have to run. Thank you so much. The way that we're doing these podcasts, yeah, of course. The way we're going to do the podcast is I kind of want to do it like, almost like each person is their own book, and each episode is a chapter. So we'll check in like 6 months or 8 months, and it'll be the second level of this conversation. Great. You like that idea?
I love it. I love it.
Okay, cool. So that's what we're going to do. So with that said, everybody check out Love and Honey's. Where can they follow you, just so they know?
On Instagram at Love and Honey Fried Chicken, loveandhoneyfriedchicken.com, Facebook, Twitter. I'm too old to do TikTok, Snap, whatever the other things are. But yeah, just go to our website, loveandhoneyfriedchicken.com, and all the links are there.
Awesome. I will put everything below. And then before you go, if there's anything else either of you feel pulled to say or want to say, audience, which is a combination of people into personal development and entrepreneurs, et cetera, and if you have anything at all.
I mean, I think
follow your dreams.
Follow your dreams, work hard, especially right now. Everybody stay healthy, stay safe. We're going to get through this. I do think that, the silver lining of this pandemic will hopefully be to bring people closer together and see how connected we really all are, all on this planet together. It's pretty glaring now that this started with one person and how it has affected every single person. And I think that's amazing. So hopefully we come out of it really understanding how connected we all are and how small the world really is. And yeah, just You know, we're here to give you the you should advice if you start a business.
Yeah. And I think that you gave just mountains of incredible advice, especially starting with like your expertise and moving into what you are good at, because there's tons of couple businesses, and that's interesting that you, and we'll get into this the next time we talk. It's interesting you had the intuition to know like there was something bigger that you were going to do. It was a partnership almost, which is how I believe relationships should, here I'm saying people should, I believe it's a unique feeling when you understand that about your partner, and that it's more than just one type of connection. It actually transcends multiple planes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, episode number 7 of the Legends Find a Way podcast. We got Todd and Laura from Love and Honey's Fried Chicken in Philadelphia. Be good, be safe, and
talk to you soon.
Yeah, keep doing what you're doing. You're killing it. Much love. Peace, everybody.
Talk to you soon.